Hey everyone, it's Sharon here, and I wanted to speak today about a new paradigm that has been emerging for a while in healing. And I think it's really going to come into its own in 2024. Now, it's been evolving for a while, and I just wanted to share some of the background very briefly and then talk about the potential that this new paradigm is going to have outside of physical body healing as well. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an evolutionary story of how I've been with healing and what I discovered and how it's going to be different going forward. So the basic understanding of energy healing is that the body has a dysfunction and the body is very intelligent. And if you give the body high vibrational energy, whether that's Reiki or whether that's another form of energy healing, I used to be a practitioner and teach quantum touch. You give the body high vibrational energy, which you could also say is a love energy, and the body takes that and heals. Now, in simple conditions and simple cases, that works absolutely brilliantly. But the problem is when it's a long-term condition, so the mind has had a long time to build up some resistance to healing, and the mind created the illness in the first place, and it acts as a gatekeeper. And so often the body would accept the energy, but the mind rejects it. And the mind is more powerful than the mind. The mind is more powerful than the body in this particular example. And so the mind acts as a gatekeeper. I used to say to people, I'm not the person doing the healing. I'm just providing the right environment, the facility of energy to help. And nobody ever really believed me. They just thought, no, you're doing it. But you can trust me when I say this. If the body wants to heal but the mind doesn't, the body doesn't heal, because the mind has more power than the body. Now, love energy and love is more powerful. Spirit is more powerful than the mind. So you can work through this, but it takes time, and usually, therefore, it takes money. And so some people don't have the patience for that. And a lot of people often go to healing hoping that they're going to recover, but they settle for feeling a bit better. I was always in the camp of trying to help someone fully recover without relapse. But to do that, you really had to have the mind on board. So how I evolved with my healing was really to try and find what the mind was gatekeeping about. And that usually involved a trauma, usually involved a childhood trauma. And so I kind of evolved my healing practice to sort of try and root out and find that original trauma and heal that. And a lot of people do that too. So it was very much trauma focused for a while. And then it kind of dawned on me, I kind of realized, and we kind of evolved. And I realized that actually we've all kind of got a similar trauma. Now, the experiences and the details are different, but actually we all suffer from the same trauma. The same trauma is that we have a perception of a lack of love. That makes us feel unsafe. And that lack of safety can have an effect on your nervous system. It can have an effect on inflammation. It can affect on your immune system. It has many different effects. And so we end up with a whole load of stress, inflammation, dysfunction within the body that stems from this lack of love. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen that to me, I believe that love really is the way we heal, or has always been the way we heal. And is that original feeling, and I say a perception, sometimes it is lacking, but actually in the bigger meta picture of life, you're never lacking love because you are love, but we just don't have the understanding of love and its universal nature. We haven't really evolved to understand it fully yet, so we perceive it to be a lack of love, but you can never really lack love. But that perceived lack of love ends up with a feeling of lack of safety, and then eventually it manifests as an illness. So, and this is a very broad overview, so don't pull me up on individual cases, because this is just a broad overview of how we view healing. So, having realised the more universal nature that we all struggle with, we all have very similar patterns in many different ways. They express themselves in appearance in many different ways, but at the core they are very similar. So I went down the path of creating, and I was gifted, and I didn't create them all from my mind. I was gifted some of these techniques to respond to universal features. So I had created the original blueprint, so restoring your original blueprint, restoring your self-worth, and integrating your shadow work. So these are universal processes that I created and was gifted by the universe to help reset what the mind believed. And a lot of this does come down to how the mind perceives things, because the mind is part of our experience of the world, and it's how we perceive the world. And so the mind was really at the central part of this, and we are really in these processes, these universal processes I created, was to override this programming which is untrue. And the programming comes from society, it comes from beliefs, it comes from identities and concepts and feelings and emotions and thoughts, but it also it has an element of untruth in it, and it's when we believe the untruth that's when it becomes an issue. So I've been sort of evolving healing to less doing healing for somebody, because I started to feel it was disempowering, and people don't believe you when you tell them that you're the one doing the healing. They think I'm the one doing the healing, and I'm not. So I wanted to try and teach people how to use these universal override principles to be able to do it for themselves. And so these sessions that are universal ones, I'm guiding, but the person is also very active in providing their own healing for themselves. So that's where we got to. That's where I got to.